The diagnosis is difficult, and the disease is rare. A condition that leads to blindness, forcing to relearn to do everything, without the eyes appearing to have anything strange. This is the path common to many patients with LHON, a pathology so rare that even specialists are not always aware of its existence, up to the absurdity of suspicions that it is mere fiction. There is much of this in the story of Paola, who was diagnosed with LHON over 30 years ago, and now lives between Rome and Rivegaro, a small town near Piacenza in northern Italy. We went to see her and got her story told, starting from the very moment she received her diagnosis.
Finally, the doctor took the phone from the secretary and he said, you really should come here. He was really angry with me because, it's like telling somebody over the phone that they have cancer. You should come here and I'll tell you what you have. But what do I have? Well, you resulted positive for Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. What's that? I said. It sounded like another language. I'd never heard of such a thing. And he said, well, it's a very rare disease. It's a mitochondrial disease and you are going blind. Blind. That was the first time I thought of that. What do you mean I'm going blind? What about my other eye too? And he said, yes, you're going to lose your vision from your other eye as well. Sure enough, 2 weeks later, the same white spot in my left eye. I had completely lost my right eye by that time. And my vision started from the center in my left eye. And I could tell when I was sitting next to my husband in the car, because I had the habit, when you have a car in front of you, of reading the license plate. And I realized that I could no longer read the license plate. And little by little, even the car disappeared. And the whole window of the car disappeared. The windshield disappeared. It was June 1992. Up until that time, when I received the diagnosis, I was completely fine. I never, ever once thought that I was going to lose my vision in both eyes. Never. So I was fine, but when I received the diagnosis, it killed me. Because my son by that time was 3, and I realized that I wasn't going to see him grow. For me, blindness was seeing completely dark, but I wasn't in the dark. I had this torch that was lit, that was always there, day and night. And it was unbearable because when I turned off the light, this white light was and is always there. When I turn off the light at night, I think that the light is still on, but it's not a light that shines on everything around and makes me see. It's a hole in the picture. It's like a photo that is burnt and that it's so deep that you can no longer see. So, to say that it was devastating for me is to say the least. I have this vision of me lying in my bed and not wanting to get up. And then knowing that my son, who was learning how to live, learning that he had also inherited this mutation, a mitochondrial mutation. Just imagine, I had never even known that we had a mitochondrial DNA. So I just didn't want to live anymore. my mutation, which is 11778, a number, it was so new that they didn't know anything. They just said there is nothing you can take. I had to start over again. And I learned Braille. I learned to use voice synthesizers. I learned to cook. And I had become the president of a volunteer association. Thanks to all my friends, I continued that association. It was called the International Club. I help people. Helping other people is what makes you feel better. I went on living thanks to the fact that I was helping others. And then in December 1994, I moved back to Italy. A disabled person in 1995 was still seen as somebody who had to be locked in the house because families were embarrassed of disabilities. So I decided that I was going to do something about that. I lived on a military base. I founded the very first family service center, and I raised funds to help blind people move around, to get out of the house and to be seen and to show that even if you're blind, you have to live. You don't want to look disabled. You don't want people feeling sorry for yourself. And you realize that with LHON, you don't look disabled because your eyes keep moving, because you look like you're looking at the person, and with time, we learn to focus on the person in front of us even if we can't see the person. I learned to do that because, we have a little residue on the side, and I used to go like that to see the person over here. But now, to make the person feel comfortable, I try to look ahead where the voice comes from so that I look normal, I don't look disabled, and you feel comfortable because I'm looking at you, because people look at people in the eyes, right? I can't see you at all where you are, but at least I feel normal. We have a fantastic group for the patients in Italy, LHON. It's called Raramente Unici in Italian, which means rarely unique. And then we have Facebook pages, and we communicate all the information we need on Facebook pages. So the world has really changed, because for 20 years, I never met anybody else with LHON for 20 whole years. One peculiarity about LHON is that it's painless. You lose your vision and there is no pain involved. And that is already something that should trigger the attention of many eye doctors, because there's nothing wrong with our eyes. If an eye doctor looks at our eye, my eyes look normal. There is nothing wrong with my eyes. I put my glasses on because light really bothers me. This is why I took them off. But I can move my eyes. I can look normal, but my eyes can't see. If I can move around, it doesn't mean that I am tricking the government. It doesn't mean that one day I've learned to be independent and I move around better than the day before and I'm tricking the government to give me an allowance. I cannot drive. I cannot go to places unknown to me on my own. I am not tricking the government, so I want to spend the rest of my life to tell the world that we are not crooks. We are patients affected by a legal blindness, a rare disease that doctors need to study. Okay, so how do I see my future? Before I die, I want to see justice in this world.
Today, Paola is more active than ever in helping those who have recently received a diagnosis to face their own path, even against prejudices, misbeliefs, and sometimes injustice. Because whoever has LHON has, like anyone else, the right to live a full and satisfying life.